there have been a few recalls here. Um, a, a meat that was sold at an Indiana and Illinois Sam's Club store has been recalled due to a possible salmonella threat. There's nothing cute about a charcuterie board that makes you sick, and that's why a recall has been issued for thousands of pounds of meat used for the trendy appetizers. You may have some of that meat in your refrigerator if you've been to a Sam's Club in Indiana or Illinois recently. Now, back on January 3rd, the U.S. Department of Agriculture's Food Safety and Inspection Services, known as the FSIS, had announced a recall of more than 11,000 pounds of ready-to-eat charcuterie meat um, products that may be contaminated with salmonella. But the specific the sorry the specific product being recalled is the 18-ounce plastic tray packages containing the Bussetto Foods charcuterie sampler, um, something called dry kappa, sweet suppressa, sweet suppressata, whatever. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. And they're labeled as best if used by April 27th of 2024. Um, now the FI the FSIS has more product pictures um, and all of the recall details here. Now, a sample of this product tested positive for salmonella when tested by the Minnesota Department of Agriculture, and FSIS reminds us of the dangers of salmonella. Um, Now, consumption of food contaminated with salmonella can cause salmonellosis, one of the most common bacterial foodborne illnesses. The most common symptoms of salmonellosis are diarrhea, abdominal cramps, and fever within 6 hours to 6 days after eating the contaminated product. Now, the illness usually lasts 4 to 7 days. Most people recover without treatment. In some persons, however, the diarrhea may be so severe that the patient needs to be hospitalized. Now, older adults, infants, and persons with weakened immune systems are more likely to develop a severe illness of it. Now, individuals concerned about an illness should contact their healthcare provider immediately. Um, the health officials advise consumers who have purchased these products not to consume them, and they should instead be thrown away or returned to the place of purchase. And then the other one was about beef with the E. coli issue. Let me go back here. Let me go back this. Yeah, there was a recall on about 7,000 pounds of beef from the E. coli issue. Let's see this here. The Food Safety and Inspection Services also had advised on Wednesday that thousands of pounds of ground beef sold in several states are subject to a recall thanks to E. coli concerns. Now, over 6,000 pounds of raw ground beef that was produced by Valley Meats, and more than 500 pounds manufactured by the Skanga Meat Company are included in the recall after it was found that meat sold in December was likely contaminated with E. coli. Now the beef products have been distributed to restaurants and retailers in 5 different states, prompting concerns that freezers and fridges may still have the tainted food inside. Now, the consumer is advised to check for signs that beef products in their fridges are subject to the recall before using them. Um, so far, there have been no confirmed cases of illness yet. Um, as far as the contamination was discovered via routine inspection, officials have urged the average consumers in restaurants to immediately throw away or return any products that included in this lot of recalls. Um, approximately 6,768 pounds of raw ground beef has been produced by that was produced by Valley Meats LLC on December 22nd of 2023 has been recalled for potential E. coli contamination. Now, the packing of affected products has the establishment number EST 5712 on the USDA marks of inspection and was shipped to distributors in Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, and Michigan. At the Skanga Meat Company, over 7,000 pounds of ground beef sold across U.S. has been recalled over the E. coli contamination concerns. The Skanga Meat Company likewise has recalled 563 pounds of ground beef that was produced on December 11th of 2023, distributed in Colorado. And the USDA markup inspection on the affected packaging includes the phrase EST 6460. Um, Indiana, the Indiana economy hits a seventh year record with $28 billion in investments and adding 22,000 jobs. Um, at least that's the claim here. Yeah, it says that they added up to that they somehow got $28 billion in investments in the creation of nearly 22,000 jobs. Unless the jobs are full time, I don't care because you want the people want full time jobs. They don't want Okay, the Department of Children and Family Services, which is what it's known as in Illinois, but out in Indiana, it's called CPS. So there's different names for them. Um, DCFS is still failing to find appropriate care for kids, leaving them locked up. Report shows an annual report to legislators prompted by WGN and by WGN investigative series shows the Illinois Department of Children and Family Services is still leaving kids in crisis in psychiatric hospitals and juvenile jails longer than necessary. Now, newly released numbers show that 296 kids were locked in psychiatric hospitals longer than medically necessary in the past fiscal year. Now, DCFS also revealed 45 youths were in juvenile halls beyond their release dates. Both circumstances continue to occur due to a shortage of appropriate shelter space and foster care options, especially for kids with severe psychiatric or behavioral issues. Um, Now, these are not just statistics, but they represent children, and real children are children, said Cook County Public Guardian Charles Gobert, who has shown a spotlight on the issue for years. Now, while the most recent numbers show a slight improvement over the previous year, they're still worse than before the pandemic hit. Last year, an astonishing 1,009 children languished needlessly and for extended periods in what are supposed to be short-term emergency placements. They were locked in psychiatric hospitals, jails, out-of-state placements, or hospital emergency rooms because DCFS had nowhere to place them. And now this is a 46% increase from just 2 years earlier. Um, Now the kids held in psychiatric hospitals longer than medically necessary have an average of 12-year-olds, and they stayed an average of 94 days beyond the point they were eligible for medical discharge, according to an analysis by the Cook County Public Guardian's office. Um, Now the care crisis comes as DCFS has seen a surge of kids in need of help. Nearly 20,000 Illinois children came under DCFS's supervision last year. A DCFS spokesperson says that the agency invested in $25 million last year, and they will spend more than this year increasing capacity. DCFS expects to add 122 new therapeutic beds this year. Now, one of the biggest initiatives is trying to prevent what was formerly known as lockouts and instead connect families and mental and behavioral health services that the youth need. Now, the DCFS spokesperson Heather Tarkzan told WGN Investigates interviewed Morgan, a young woman in 2021 who was locked in a psychiatric hospital months longer than medically necessary. They didn't have anywhere else to place me, so basically I had to stay there longer and longer, Morgan said at that time. DCFS is known for fucking people over, so basically they cannot be trusted. In 2019, WGN investigators revealed that 196 kids spent a night sleeping in DCFS offices or in other unauthorized shelter space while trying to find a permanent placement for them. Some were stuck for days, even weeks on end. It led lawmakers to summon DCFS Director Mark Smith to a hearing to explain himself on the shelter bed shortage. Now, Smith recently announced his resignation from the DCFS. On Wednesday, Governor J.B. Pritzker announced that Heidi Miller will lead the agency beginning in February. Mueller comes from the Illinois Department of Juvenile Justice. Now, Heidi's care and compassion for the most at-risk people in our state and her exceptional leaderships are hallmarks of her career. And we know that the passionate expertise will be a significant asset as we continue to improve our state's child welfare system, Pritzker said in the press release. But like I said, DCFS cannot be trusted. They fuck people over. An Indiana man was killed in a freak accident after going to collect his mail. That kind of sucks. An economist from Fort Wayne weighs in on the impacts that the Indiana 7.25 minimum wage has on everybody. The minimum wage increase will increase in nearly half of all U.S. states this year, including neighboring states like Ohio, Illinois, and Michigan. But Indiana will not join that list, even though they should. Indiana has had the same minimum wage since 2009. It's been stuck at 7.25, which is fucking pathetic. While that might sound bleak when considering inflation, Purdue Fort Wayne senior economics lecturer John Kessler says he doesn't think it has a practical impact on workers nowadays. Kessler says because of labor shortages, he doesn't think many people will have to worry about only getting paid a minimum wage. But in my opinion, as an economist, I think that the best way to make money over time is through an investment that we call human capital. Just get a fucking job. It doesn't fucking matter where. Just get a goddamn job of some kind and then through work-life experience, you're going to start making money over time because the longer you work for a company, the more they start paying you over time. He says that the people most impacted by Indiana's minimum wage are waiters or waitresses who are paid less than the expectation that they will make tips, and sometimes they don't make tips all the time either. That's what they got to factor in. Because of this, he encourages consumers to tip their waiters well, and a lot of people don't. Indiana passed a law back in 2011 barring cities and counties from changing their own minimum wages, so that any change would have to come from the state house in itself. Indiana Senator Rodney Pohl introduced an SB 366 in July to raise the state minimum wage to $13 an hour, but it wasn't successful, even though it should be higher than that. More than 300,000 air fryers have been recalled. Doesn't Let's see what we got here. Okay, hold on. Yeah, it says more than 300,000 air fryers have been recalled, and some were sold in Indiana and Kentucky. The Consumer Product Safety Commission has issued a recall for more than 300,000 air fryers that were sold nationwide. The particular model that they're recalling was sold at places like Target, Walmart, and Kohl's between August 2021 and October of 2023. The reason for the recall is due to the plastic U-channel connector that optionally combines the two food baskets. They have received dozens of reports of this connector break-in during use and 3 reports of burns. If you have this type of air fryer in your home, you're urged to stop using it and reach out to Power XL for a refund. But that's only if people could actually afford it. And then the last thing to do is the Cubs have made an actual signing. Chicago Cubs had signed a Japanese pitcher named God, I gotta look up the name now because I just saw it. It started with an S. It's not Shohei Ohtani because Shohei Ohtani went to the Dodgers. Let me see here. I know I saw it. God, I just. Okay, the Cubs have signed Shota. Now he's a Japanese player, so I'm gonna say the last name wrong because I don't know how to say the names. But his first name is Shota, but his last name is spelled Imanaga. So don't ask me, and I'm not sure what the deal is worth. But this is one of the few deals that the Cubs have made this year. When it comes to signing Craig Counsell to a 5-year deal to take over, and the Cubs land this guy, and the Cubs were really quiet during free agency, so the Cubs didn't go big on spending like they should have. But if you like the video, you can get the video, like and subscribe to my channel, RVW King, or you can also check out my other channel, Rusty the King. And just to let you guys know, I had linked Discord to both channels. So basically, if I ever do a when I do a live stream, the Discord will help us chat back and forth, to keep in touch with each other. Um, but you also go ahead and leave a comment, let me know what you think. And if you want to support my work even further, you can donate to my Patreon link, which you can find in the About section of YouTube. And for just a little, $3 a video or a month, your donation will help go a long way. And thanks for listening.